welcome to the final Bastion art stream. I'm your host, Horatio Bastion Wells III. Most people call me Bastion. Well, most of them call me Bastard, but it's close enough. Hope you're doing well today, and I'm glad to see you here. Today we're going to be painting some more minis for tabletop role-playing games such as Dungeons & Dragons, or Pathfinder, Humblewood, Animal Adventures, whatever, what have you, whatever kind of tabletop adventure you want to go on. But I hope you enjoy yourselves.
Alright. Make sure everything is good to go. Sorry for that noise. This is what you get for having a non-permanent setup. You have to move things around for the rest of the week. Oh, it wasn't working before? I mean, I only do the voice thing during the intro and outro because it can get a little grating if you're not doing like the personality. So I just do the intro and outro. Alright. There we go. Bam. Yeah. That's alright though, you know? It's nice to have people here to watch. Anyway, so today what we're going to be doing is going to be working on some of my Horatios. Now, I know I said that I was only going to be doing the black base paint off stream, but I forgot to do this guy. So I'm going to do him real quick, but only this guy, and then we'll do the regular style painting on these two, and hopefully by the time we're done with these two, we can get to the expensive paint, the contrast paint from Citadel to go on this guy. So we're going to be doing that. And yeah, I need to do a kit bash stream where I do this guy, but as I'm not entirely certain how to do this guy, I might just do him off stream and then say I did it and it was brilliant and it was right the first time. But yeah, get my paints because I forgot to grab them. Okay, so today, actually, I'm going to start today. We're going to do this focus, manual focus. Where is figure video? There it is. I really wish there was an easier way to do this. Alright. There we go. Okay. So, since the last time, I've gone out and got some more goodies. Some of these will have to do with the stream and some of them won't. But, got this guy, which is, we're going to focus manually because I can't trust the autofocus. Oh, uncheck that. And then I should be able to, there we go. So this pencil, Castle in the Sky from Studio Ghibli. Takes 0.5 lead, but it's got a thing in there that when you push down, it rotates. So let's see if I can show you. See that little golden kind of yellowish piece right there? So every time you push down, it rotates the lead. That way it keeps your point always sharp. That's pretty cool. You got one of these guys, and if you've watched My Neighbor Totoro, you'll recognize that inside. And I opened it and then took out the little thing and then rewrapped it. But you get one of these guys, and it's a little stone, and there's like 8 different stones, but it's pretty neat, nice and little cute. But then I rewrapped the gift to make it look pretty again. I got this, which you'll recognize as Castle in the Sky, Laputa. Pair of socks, also Laputa. And this guy, who is one of the, see if I can figure out how to get it so he's not. There we go. Oh, look at that. There we are. So this guy is from The Cat Returns. Neko no, I always forget what the last bit is. Oh no, I'm zooming. I didn't mean to do that. Really wish there was just a slider I could use for this. But he's one of the Secret Service guys for the Cat King. And if you've seen my stream before, you probably know I keep my brushes in one of the robot heads from Laputa Castle in the Sky. See, Best Robot Boy. Is that the one from The Cat Returns? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. May I present the king of the Cat Kingdom? The Cat King. Ciao, babe. That's me, babe. Alright. The fact that was Tim Curry, just fantastic. I also bought, went and bought another board game for the minis again, because I can't help myself. The really nice minis are not going to be shown today, but here are some of the other minis that we're going with, and I want to say that we're going to be painting this guy and this guy today. Or rather, we're going to be setting it up for next time. Because these guys are going to have special underpaints. So we got like a little penguin with a suit and a top hat, really tall chimney hat. And we got like a creepy mummified guy with a top hat and a lantern. So these guys will be getting the base paint, but not the black base paint. They'll be getting a special coloring for their base paint. So let's hope that works out like I want it to. And there's a reason for that, and I'll explain that later when we get to it. But yeah, so let's get started on these guys. We're going to do this guy. We need to finish up the barrel, wherever that is. Oh, that's over on the table. Alright, we'll be working on this guy. We got one piece left on this. I filled up these 2 barrels. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to unfocus because it only focuses like one way or the other, so I have to manually go because the autofocus doesn't want to work. So I'll refocus when I get to start painting. But yeah, so I filled up these barrels, and then when the paint dried, it unfilled. So I got to do something else about that. But yes, I am aware that the focus isn't the best at the moment. We're about to fix that. There it is. So I hope everyone's doing good today. Right now it's just you, Skell. I hope you're doing good today. I woke up late again. I gotta wake up earlier so I can get food before the stream. Because this is a long process and I need some kind of sustenance since this is the first thing I do in the day. Alright. Another hot day in Texas, huh? Alright. So, let's get our brushes. Which are going to be this guy. This guy. And, maybe this guy. Yeah, waking up late's nice, but waking up late with no alarm so you can just do whatever during the day, even better. I tried to simulstream on YouTube, but even though I requested to be able to stream on YouTube and it said 24 hours and that was last week, now it's saying I have to set up more stuff. Like, look, give me all the steps at one time so that I can just do it all at one time. I don't know. But here we go. Oof. I'm gonna use that right now. Let's see. What we need is brown. Where are all my browns? What is this? Brushed? That's brush silver. We don't need brush silver. This is brush black. We do need that for the barrels. And this is real brown. Where's my burnt umber brown? Because that's my favorite brown. Chocolate bar. That is not burnt umber. Well, where is my burnt umber? Oh, that's the shiny stuff. Oh. There we go. Alright, so, favorite brown to use ever since taking art classes. God damn it, I wish the autofocus would work properly. Is burnt umber. This is not my favorite brand. This is just the brand that I use for acrylic painting for minis. But the color burnt umber. That's my favorite brown. Let's see. We'll also be using this Folk Art brand brushed black for the metal pieces on these barrels. Like the bands and whatnot on the barrels. We'll be using the burnt umber on the little throne. Now, I have previously, I don't remember if I did it on stream or not, but I have previously put in some glitter paint on the symbol right here. You can kind of see it shining a little bit. And then I'm going to very lightly brush over top of that so that the glitter paint's in the cracks. But the brown, yeah, so if you want good earth tones, like a good brown, burnt umber, that is the way to go. So when learning how to properly paint, at art classes back at college, we were given colors to get. Now we could get other colors on top of that, but we were given colors to get that were the base ones that we needed. What we needed was, and this brand I do like. It is a bit more expensive. These are oil paint, so I'm not using them on stream. But, so it is, you can't read that, it's kind of shiny. It's a Winsor & Newton brand. They have acrylic paints as well. But for art class, or painting class, I wanted to try oil painting since I'd never done oil painting before. So I got oil paints, but they do make acrylic as well. But Winsor & Newton, great brand, and I'll use these for when I do my canvas painting. But these are the colors you need. You need titanium white. You need burnt umber. And you can tell I've used the Everloving Snot out of these guys. You need French ultramarine blue. Not named after the Warhammer guys. I have ivory black, but that's for special occasions, and I'll explain that in just a second. You need cadmium yellow, pale hue, and cadmium red hue. Let's see if I can get it to show up, not shine. There we go. So, if you get these colors, you can make just about any set of colors. Now, obviously, if you want like a magenta, you're just going to have to buy a magenta paint, as that doesn't really mix with pigments. Whenever I talk about like primary colors and things like that, I'm going to be talking from a painter's aspect. So if I say the primary colors, I mean red, blue, and yellow, because that is how pigments work. It's not how light works. Light is, yellow, cyan, and magenta, and you can make all the colors from that. I don't work with digital art. I work with physical art. Actually, since I'm not painting right now, I'm just going to turn this up so you can look at me, so you can see me. Hi. I don't work in digital art. I work in physical art. I work in traditional arts. So I use the traditional art stuff, and that's how pigments work. Red and yellow makes orange. Yellow and green, or yellow and blue make green. Red and blue make violet, all that stuff, right? So when I say primary colors, I mean red, blue, and yellow. So you got your primary of the cadmium red, cadmium yellow pale hue, and ultramarine blue, and you can make all your colors from that. In order to make a black, now that I'll go over this again when I do canvas painting, but just as a rundown, in order to make your black, don't use black paint for if you want a really good like color saturation, or a really good how to put this, if you want to control how colorful your colors are and how deep your shadows are and the feel of it more, do not use black paint for your stuff. Mix your black paint, and the way you mix it is you take your burnt umber and you take your ultramarine blue and you mix those. That makes black. But the thing is the more blue you use, the cooler the black is going to look. The more burnt umber you use, the warmer it's going to look. And trust me, I know it doesn't sound like it'll make a difference, but trust me, it really, really does. That way you can control your black. If you use black paint, it just kind of looks murky. And I will show examples of that when I get to the oil painting, so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, And once again, like I just said, color theory is a little. I am not going to be going into like huge amounts of color theory, like what you'll see in digital artwork, where people will pull over like the white and then it'll be green by the time it gets to the white side because it looks a pale yellow white on the eye because it's surrounded by all the other colors. That's beyond what I will be doing, but mixing the blue and the burnt umber, the ultramarine blue and the burnt umber, controls the feel of and look of the black color that you get in the end. And I know it doesn't sound like it would make a difference, but when I do a canvas painting, trust me, it makes a difference. And then to get gray, you just mix in a little bit of white at a time, and you go from there. To, you know, white to feel, I guess. But yeah, so for purposes of minis, though, I just use black paint because they're so tiny. I'm not going to be looking at these things with like a magnifying glass or a microscope, so it's not going to make that much of a difference if I mix the black or cheat and use just like a black paint. But yeah, so I know it's going into that theory early before I get to the canvas painting was a little mean, but just so you know, that's, and you can get those with acrylic paints, not just oil paints. They also come in small tubes. This is the same Winsor and Newton brand, so you don't have to go out and get the giant tubes as like a start. Minis are nice because you can cheat a lot at proportions and highlighting. That's very true, and that's partly what we're going to be doing today when we get to like this guy, because yeah, we're going to be using like some of the contrast paints from Citadel. So yeah, I don't know, maybe next week, you know what, why not? Next week we'll do we'll start a canvas paint, and that way I can show you a little bit of how that works. But let's get started on this week's painting, right? Alright. So, first thing we're going to do is adjust this height so I can focus properly on this thing. I really need to set it so it knows where it is, because it knows where it isn't. There we go. Okay. So, what we're doing today is we're going to do a quick dip in the black, mix our paints, make sure that's mixed well. We're going to use one of the bigger ones for this. Yeah. So like I said, next time I'm going to try to remember paint these guys before the stream. But in this case, I'm making an exception because I'm going to be doing what they say to do on YouTube videos, and we're going to paint it black, and then we're going to do the dry brushing of gray, and then the dry brushing of white, so we can get those shadows, so when we put on the Citadel contrast paint, it'll fill in those shadows and look really nice, and we'll see how that works. And then we'll see if we can copy that on a different guy. And since I have two identical minifigs, we can see the real differences between them. So, hope everyone's week's been going well. I hope you're able to get things done and be productive, or just be lazy and enjoy your week. Alright, I'm going to put you down so I can paint base here from where my fingers were touching. Shouldn't have made some of these, just trying to get my 3 level and dip. How much longer you got there, man? Next time I'll, about another month. Well, good luck with that. Hope that goes by quickly. You liking your fellow classmates, or are they just annoying the snot out of you? See, what was I saying? Oh yeah, next time I make minis, I'm gonna make it so that there's not so many small grooves to get into, because that's gonna make it really hard when I get to actually painting the thing. Oh, on this one, 18-year-olds, take that how you will. Yeah. I mean, I'm not the right person to say that to, because I was annoyed with 18-year-olds when I was 18. So, byproduct of being raised by partly by your grandparents is you get their curmudgeonly ways as well. But yeah. Used to, whenever I was first looking into Warhammer pieces to supplement my D&D, I was like, why in the world do they come in multiple pieces like a friggin' Gundam or a model set when you can just print them in one go, just like with Dungeons and Dragons pieces, and be done with it. And now I know. It's because there's so many little bitty spaces to get into that it's just easier to paint the pieces and then put them together than it is to put them together or print them in one piece and then try to paint them. And so I'm going to have a difficult time when I get around to painting this sitting bastions and all those little bitty spaces. So when they printed out this one, I don't remember if I told you or not, but dear streamer, when they printed out this one, a manufacturing error happened, and Andy's front left paw did not print properly and broke off. It's easier to paint. It's fun to pose. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I make backstories for my minis whether I compose them or not, but yeah. I mean, this guy's got a fully fleshed out backstory, but then again, I did make the character before I ever got the mini, so that's not fair. But the front left paw is broken, did not print properly and broke off. So what we're going to do, since he's like a robo dog, let's see if we can get it so you can see. had it. I had it. There we go. You can see that his front left paw is just not there. So, what we're going to do is later on, when we get to it, get to painting these guys, or once we're done painting these guys, rather, for this particular one, we're going to get a little bit of wire, like with stereo wire, some kind of thin wire, and we're going to cut a little bit of that, and we're going to put it on the paw. Since he's a robo dog, we'll just have some wire sticking out as battle damage. And they did apologize to me and said they would print out another one, but I was like, nope, that's fine. We'll just work with this, and that will work out just fine for story purposes and lore purposes and things like that. So that is perfectly okay. And he gets his first prosthetic. Funny you should say that. Yes. But yeah, so there we go. Need to paint this guy too. Yeah, from now on I'm just going to be doing, unless it's a special base paint, I'm just going to be doing these guys off stream. These guys will just have the basic base paint of black. Woof. So many small places. I don't know why I bite off so much more than I can chew. My eyes are always bigger than my stomach. I really want to get my hands on some of that black 3.0 and use that on a couple of these guys just to have like silhouettes. I think that'd be really cool. Or just have someone with like a black object that he's holding or is on his person that looks just wrong because there are no contours to it because it just absorbs all the light. And maybe one day I will get that black 3.0. We'll see how that works. So I started watching the show called Upload. It's on Amazon Prime. And it's a pretty good show so far. There are some directions that I would have gone that they did not go, or I wouldn't have gone and they did go. But I mean, that's be expected to happen. It's still a really good show so far. I'm in season 2 now. I think they only have 2 seasons so far. But it's that is a dystopian nightmare. Isn't it black? Bought by the no. So the black. You're thinking Vanta Black. That's the Bean artist that he just bought Vanta Black, and it's highly toxic, hard to use. Can't use it for like normal everyday painting, hard to manufacture, and he owns the color and no one else can use it without his express permission, and it's super expensive. Then somebody went around, and his name is Amish Kapoor, the Bean artist, and then this other artist who I can't remember his name of, and I'll have to look that up in a second. He with a team of other people created a black 2.0, and it is able to be used commercially. People can just buy it. It is a bit more expensive than normal paints, but that's just because it is a very special paint of being able to absorb 99.9% of light. And he lets anyone use it except Amish Kapoor, because like you actually have to sign a contract when you go on the website to buy it, saying that you are not Amish Kapoor, you don't work for Amish Kapoor, and you are not going to provide this paint to Amish Kapoor. So, yeah, fuck that guy. Get some black 2.0, and then last year before, something like that, they came out with a black 3.0, which is even darker. absorbing like 99.9999% of light, which makes it so the blackest black ever, and there's like no shadows or contours to be had because it's all shadow, because no light is bouncing back to you. And I just kind of want to get my hands on some of that. It's still expensive, not like prohibitively so, but it is kind of expensive for paint, and you get like a small tube of it. I think it's like 3 ounces or something. So I would not really be using it for this unless it's for a special character who's just going to stay silhouette. But I would also want it to be a special pose to show off just the silhouette and how much light the paint absorbs. But yeah. Yeah, Amish Kapoor's just kind of a jerk. Owning colors and everything. And he's not the first person to own a color. What is it? Levi? Or one clothing company owns this very specific blue. It's like a denim blue. Calvin Klein. Oh, it's Calvin Klein. They own like a very specific like denim blue, and no one's allowed to use it but them. But once again, like, it's difficult to manufacture, it's prohibitively expensive, and they own the color, and blah blah blah. So if you use it without their permission, you'll get sued into oblivion, because no starving artist is going to be able to hold up to the army of lawyers that a company has. However, the same people that made the Black is Black, Black 3.0, they made, I think it's called Like Klein, or Klein Like, or Close to Klein, or something like that. That is that powder denim blue. It's so close, and because it uses an entirely different process, and is just off that color, they can sell it and use it and everything else, and is legally fine. But yeah, so there's that. But they also made like a Pink is Pink. And then the BBC, the British Broadcasting Company, get your minds out of the gutter, they own the TARDIS blue. It's a very specific combination of colors and stuff. There's like a color number for this thing, for the TARDIS blue. So if you ever see people making things with the TARDIS on it, yeah, a lot of people piss off. Yeah. If you ever see anything done, not officially done by the BBC for Doctor Who, and they have the TARDIS on there, and it is a blue, it is not that specific blue. It is close, or not, depending on the person. But they don't have that specific blue, because the TARDIS blue is owned by the BBC. So yeah, copyright laws are, man, that stuff is, oh, I forgot I could actually play some music while I'm doing this. I just forgot how to set it up. I had it last night and then completely just, yep. Oh well, so long as I'm talking, it's fine, because I can fill in that emptiness with the sound of my dulcet tones. Ah! Listen to my beautiful singing voice. I can break glass. Ah! Alright. Oh, I missed a spot on his mane. Is it still a mane if it's a dog or a wolf? No, manes are like lions. Is it still technically a mane? Or has it got a different term if it's a canine? Is that a yes to the main question? Or is that something else I said previously? Stay. Oh, there goes the shoe. Any animal that has an excess of fur around its head and neck has a mate. Okay, sweet. Okie dokie. Now that we are good to go on the black base, I'm going to rinse out this guy. So, I'm going to go ahead and describe this. I'm just going to hope that my players aren't in this. But for the lantern guy and the penguin dude, we're going to be doing a special base paint for them where they aren't going to be doing a black base paint. What we're going to do is we're going to use one of our special colors. Let's see. We got a red, violet, shift glitter. We've got a blue enchanted shimmer. We've got a green enchanted shimmer. We've got blue, green, gold shift. That's not what I'm looking for. Gold shimmer. I've got some glow in the dark stuff. So, the reason these guys are getting a different base, as I did explain before, but we'll go over again just in case you're new and you didn't see this, but I give a base black to all of my characters to give them a more grounded feel. When the color goes on top of the black, it mutes it a little bit, makes it look like it belongs to like a real world rather than the bright colors that you're gonna get in something like a cartoon or anime, which is just cartoons. And I know that if anyone ever discovers my videos on YouTube, there's going to be a war in the comment section, but it's true. Not that there's anything wrong with cartoons, I watch them all the time, but let's see, we got a violet one. They are the same thing. Anime is just short for animation. But the reason that I don't give a black base to some of my minis is if they're like Fae or divine in origin or certain dragons. Obviously, some dragons will have like a base coat of black. If it wants to be more of a grounded and less magical dragon, then we'll have that. Or if it's a mechanical dragon, it'll have like a base coat of black to make it more grounded. But anything with like excesses of power or they're made of magic kind of thing, that's going to have a different base coat. Some will be white, some will be like blue, blah blah blah. I did have like these guys, him and his sister, which, let me see if I can refocus. Skell, you should know who this guy is. Now, this material is like a blue in color, and I left that to shine through the skin tones so you can see that they're blue bloods and they're rich and noble. And that's just as like a pun thing, but I digress. For some gods, it'll be like white or like one of these shimmers or something like that. For these, they're from like a dream kind of place. It's from a board game called Elderfield or Enderfield, something like that. It's a brand new board game, but they're like pieces of dream. If you've ever read Sandman or seen the new show by Neil Gaiman, they are beings of dream. And so these guys are going to get a different type of base. So what we have these. I was thinking about giving them like a glow, but I think I'm going to give them a shimmer instead. So we have a penguin, and we got like a homeless. He's not really a mummy. Let's see. We got like eyes in his hat, and his face is like stretched skin. he looks almost like if you've ever seen Pan's Labyrinth by Guillermo del Toro, he looks like the guy who has his eyes in his hands. Looks kind of like that. So, I think for the penguin, we're gonna go with. Should we go with blue or should we go with gold? I think. What do my viewers think? Should we go with blue or should we go with gold? I'm thinking blue. I think we'll go with blue, unless you guys have other ideas. So, and then for lantern guy, blue is a good color. For lantern guy, see, we can go with green or we can go with. I think we'll go with this red, gold, red, violet shift for him because he's got a lantern. So that'll be like a fire kind of thing. Blue and gold complement pretty good. Yeah, so the penguin's going to be base coat of this Deco Art Americana Enchanted Shimmer blue. And the lantern guy is going to be this Folk Art Quality, or Dragonfly Glaze Gold, Red, Violet Shift. So these are the two colors we're going to be using as the bases to hopefully shine through for that. Hopefully. But yeah, so there's that. We're only gonna be going till 10 today because I have some stuff I gotta take care of because I do have a game later. So let's get started. We're going to start with the blue. Make sure it's mixed really well. Now, I know that it just kind of looks like white. Oh, I forgot to adjust the focus back down. Bloop, there we go. I know it just looks like white, but trust me, when it gets painted on and it's good to go, it's going to look very shimmery and shiny. So there's a bunch of these minis for the Dream beings. And we'll do each one at least a little different. Some of them might share the same base, but we'll do each one a little bit different from the last to show there are different types of Dream beings. So some will be nightmares, things like that. And some might double. They might pull double duty. Is that blue? Is that blue that we just put down? I want to say it was the blue. Yes, it was. It was the blue. Haha. Here's a little bit of how they look when they're dried. Let's see the focus. There we go. So you can see like a blue on that lid or the rim around. See that blue right there, and then we got some of the, that red, pink kind of color. So that's what they're going to look like when they're dry. So since we started with blue, let's start with blue. Here we go. Penguin guy. I should probably base coat him in white, but we're going to try it base coating him just in this, and we'll see how it turns out. This stuff is very thin. It's going to take several layers. Like, it's already thin before getting washed out with water. I really wish autofocus would work. It's annoying that it's not. . but yeah, so I started watching, going back, started watching Upload, and it is about a near future society where they have created a way to upload your consciousness into a virtual world after you die, or I guess right before you die, to kind of give you a digital afterlife, guaranteed. Um, and then it's pay to play. So, like the main guy, his girlfriend uploads him into Lakeview, which is like super swank uh, hotel in the mountainside kind of thing, and you can control what season it is and the weather style and everything else when you go outside. Um, Things to do. The food down in the cafeteria type place or the dining room is free, but like food in your room costs per meal or whatever, which doesn't make any sense if you can provide the free food. If people are greedy, the whole world is just greedy. Um, but yeah, uh, but if you can maybe afford Lakeview, but not, or like the company that does Lakeview, but not like Lakeview itself, you can go into what they call 2 gigs, which is you get 2 gigs a month, and when you run out of that, you're frozen for the rest of the month until next payment, or until a new payment comes in to give you more bandwidth, which is just terrible because like any kind of activity will cost you bandwidth. And even thinking too hard will use up bandwidth. It's it is a dystopian nightmare. They also have people, Luddites, who they call Luds, who, if you don't know, Luddites don't really like technology. Um, and so they're like living out in the woods, which is fine. If you don't like technology, want to live in the woods, have a little commune, have like, you know, grow your own food and stuff instead of having it printed like everybody in the city does, you know, great. Have at the, like, I might visit. Uh, but they couldn't just have that. Nope. They had to be sort of terroristic and putting people's lives in danger, bombs and cult mentality and an actual like cult in there. Like it's, I don't understand why you can't just have people who don't like technology and just leave it at that. Like there's no reason to make them bad guys every time. Or if they just like had like a vocal minority who were like the terrorist ones, and the rest of them did not go along with it, and they shunned them. Like that would be something. That would be fine, because you're gonna have like these couple of individuals who go against the grain and are kind of dangerous or whatever, and that's fine. But they don't. They paint the whole of them as like these crazy cult followers, and it's just, oh, that's what's going on. I was wondering why the nose got black. It's because I didn't wash my freaking hands after. Whatever. Build it up enough and it'll be fine. Alright, so there's the first base coat. We're going to wait till he is dry. And just to keep from having to rewash and rewash and rewash, I'm going to use a new brush for the red. Yes, nuance, please. Thank you. That would be great. But the show is genuinely funny at times, and I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm still not completely sold on one of the main characters. Well, on a couple of the main characters, but we'll see how they turn out. Help me remember that the red is over here. But actually, we'll just put the red on that side so I can just look and see. Where'd the... There it is. But yeah, some nuance would be fantastic. Please and thank you. I'm hoping my players don't know about this stream, so they don't get this stuff. But he is looking very shiny, and I'll give you a better focus when I'm done painting. But these guys come from a dream world, or an extra-dimensional plane called the Daydream, and it is a place where my players are going to have to go. But they will encounter some of these dream beings outside of the daydream, and that's not really supposed to happen. So they're gonna have to figure that out. Beings of dream are leaking into the real world. Solve this problem before it is too late. And everyone is overtaken with a bout of ADD. ADHD. It's just daydreaming all the time. But yeah, the upload's pretty good so far. Like I said, I'm in Season 2. I'm enjoying it. There are some routes I wouldn't have taken, like just how annoying the main guy's best friend is. I would tone that down a little bit, but he's a genuinely good-ish person underneath. Too late. You're not one of my players in this one, Skell. This is a different world than the one you play in. So there. Maybe if you had come, TDY, to Okinawa, you could be one of the players in this campaign. Oh, how the ADH got me. Yeah. ADHD. Woo! You gotta love it. So I went to the Sapper and Suicide Prevention quote-unquote annual training the other day, and when they were talking about suicide awareness, they asked, what do you feel? They were talking about stress. Talk to the new commander when I get back, see if he wants TDY to Oki. Yeah, boy. They asked, what do you feel when a deadline is coming up and it's getting real close? And apparently the correct answer is distress. My answer of hyperfocus was not correct, apparently. So, you know, there you go. Also, I was playing a game with some guys in the last week or so, and the game is called Prepare to Die. It's based around Inigo Montoya in Princess Bride, and it works like Cards Against Humanity, but instead of whoever gets the funniest one, it's you give out a, isn't that what they want? Yeah. Instead of whoever gives the funniest answer to the question or whatever, the person puts out a name, and everyone else gives a reason as to why they're angry, with why that person is angry with the person. So, like, let's say they put out the name Inigo Montoya, and you'll give out, you spat in my face, you blanketed my pigs, you spilled my drink, or you killed my father. Well, clearly the one that's you killed my father is the one he's angry about, blah blah blah. If you got like Mark Zuckerberg, it'd be like, you created a new um, social network to replace mine, kind of thing. Is whoever pissed you off most as that person. So, like, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Yeah, there we go. It's nice and covered. Alright. But, anyways, we were playing this game. And... I work with people who are a bit younger than me, and then also being raised by my grandparents. Or I was raised by my mom, but a lot of time I spent with my grandparents too. And we all watch the same shows and listen to the same music and things like that. So my knowledge is a little bit older than those who I work with who are much younger than me. And one of the names they put out was, they were like, okay, my name is Johann Sebastian Bach. You mean Johann Sebastian Bach? It says Bach. Yeah, okay, man. Look, listen. That's not how you say his name. They're like, well, who is he? He's a... Oh, my God. He's a composer. So I had to keep filling in like some of the more historical names so they would know who they were, so they'd know what pissed them off. To be fair, I did get Rihanna, and I was like, okay, well, it's, hello, my name is Rihanna. We got to fund education, like, please. Yes, absolutely. But to be fair to them, to just as like, here's the other hand, I got Rihanna. I was like, hello, my name is Rihanna. And I can't name one song by Rihanna. I was like, put a ring on it? They're like, that's Beyonce. I'm like, okay. So, yeah, I don't really know a lot of modern music, or the modern music that I do know is not the mainstream modern music. The most mainstream thing I listen to in terms of modern music is like Fall Out Boy. I think they had like an album that came out a little bit ago. Alright, so we're going to use some of this, while that stuff is drying, we're going to use some of this brushed black to go on the hammer, the mug. Actually, the mug's going to be silver. The hammer will be brushed black. And on barrels and things like that. But yes, we do need to fund education. This is so bad. Like, they've started taking clocks, like analog clocks, out of school. And they're like, well, the kids can't read them. If only we had a place to send them that was specifically tailored around teaching them things they don't know. If only we had a place like that. Now, some things we don't need to know. Like, we don't need to know, unless we are, like, a farmer. We don't really need to know about the nuances of crop culture, or the specifics of milking a cow. I think maybe some cursory knowledge, like milk comes from cows, and chocolate milk comes from the milk from cows and chocolate rather than brown cows. I think that would be great. But, like, the specifics we don't really need to know. But there are far too many people in America who just don't know how to do some of the most basic things because those are not taught, and it's kind of bad. I just saw a video the other day on, they went to Harvard and asked these guys questions about the world, and they were woefully undereducated in some of this stuff. Like one of the questions they asked was, who was the first president to live in the White House? It was John Adams. I was teetering on that because I didn't know if they meant the first time the building was built or the first time it was actually called the White House, because it wasn't called the White House at first. It was after the War of 1812 where they burned down our White House, and then we built it back up and like painted over some of the sections and then painted over the rest of it to match, paint it white because it had been burned down. It wasn't called the White House at first. I was like, I don't know if they're going to go for that or if they're going to go with the original answer. And they went with the original answer for the building itself. So, yeah, there's that. And, like, all these guys, they're at Harvard. They didn't know. Or, like, what was the first state? Some of them were like, oh, it's Massachusetts. No, it's not. What's the biggest state by land area? Like, size. And one of the people was like, so it's like, hey, what is the largest state by size? And they're like, oh, do you mean like how much area it covers? That's what it means, yes. If they meant how many people are in it, they would say population. Like, reading comprehension, listening comprehension is important. And they really need to, like, go over that, cover that a little bit more. And then, of course, funding from schools get cut. The art programs get cut. Art and music, always the first to go. Sports is the last thing to go, and honestly, that's not going to produce quality people. Not to say that athletes aren't quality people. It's just that we need more thinkers. And I will always, always maintain the view that science is important because it allows us to survive, but art is important because it lets us live. But art and music programs, which music is just like art in an audio medium rather than a visual one. Kind of dropped humanities from our education system. Yep, and when we did, we dropped humanity, or the future of humanity. Science is important. We need science, and we need more people that understand science. But it's not the only thing. We're not getting into that. Like, I agree, but we're not getting into that. No, I know, and if you know me, some of the pauses that I've done is because I was about to say something that got into it, and I had to stop myself. So it's not just you, and it's true, and it's topical, and it is important discussion to have, just not here. Uh, for those of you who are watching the upload, uh, he mentioned that when I said um, dropped humanities from our education system, and we're talking about like educating people and whatnot, he mentioned politics, and whereas I do agree, that's not this. Those are not the discussions we're going to have on this stream. It's going to be like art and colors and these things, not because it's a hard discussion, and I'm afraid of hard discussions. Anyone who knows me in real life knows that I am more than willing to have those discussions. But at some point, we need to have a place where we can be away from those so we can discuss other topics. You don't go to a book club to talk about knitting. You don't go to a cooking class and talk about how to bind books. And this is not getting on the commenter. This is just an explanation for viewers who are not seeing these comments or didn't catch previous episodes. And if you've got, this is not like a safe space kind of thing. If you've got a hot take on artwork from certain artists that are popular or whatever, give me that hot take. We will discuss that endlessly. Like if you think that Van Gogh is like boring and overdone, I will disagree and probably hire the Pinkertons, but we can have that discussion. I won't hire the Pinkertons, just as a legal thing. I'm not going to do that. We'll just have that hard discussion. But yeah, I will just kindly explain to you why you are wrong about Van Gogh, and he is a great artist. Anyways, let's see. Skell says, hard subject shift. Been looking for a good partner to yellow because I've been trying to incorporate yellow in my color schemes. Now, when you say partner to yellow, do you mean like just a single color that helps yellow pop? Because that's going to be violet or purple. Or do you mean something that works in like a clothing line, or how to paint like powers, magic coming off of the guy or whatever? When you say partner to yellow, what specifically do you mean? Because that's going to change the answer. Because like the power set's going to depend on what the power set is. Like if it's just wild magic, purple and yellow will be fine. If it's like a madness magic, purple and yellow and like some green or whatever, give it some Joker colors, yeah, that would be fine. To make any color pop, use its complementary color. Red, green, yellow, and purple or violet, orange, blue. But if you don't want to use that exact opposite color or complementary color, yeah. So far I have primary base, primary brass, secondary brown, and want to find a place for yellow so they match my other army colors a bit. Okay, so complementary to yellow is violet or purple. You can put like gold on a purple background or something like that. You can do, if you don't want to use purple for whatever reason, you can use blue. So the way it works is like the complementary color is on the opposite side of the color wheel. I have a color wheel somewhere, but I don't know where it is. So we'll just use these guys. So we got, let's see, we got 6 colors. That's guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. All right. So we got red and green. We got orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. So purple and yellow complement each other, connected by a line. It still pops, just not as much, but it still pops if you shift one side or the other. So yellow goes with purple, but it also goes with, sorry, that one was purple. Yellow goes with purple, but it will also be fine going with red for like fire, and it also goes fine with blue. So if you want it to really pop, you'll put it with purple. If you want it to really pop but not use purple, you'll use blue, because yellow and red are both warm colors, whereas blue is a cool color, so it'll make it pop even more as like the other primary. Yellow and green do work well together, like daisies in a field of grass. But it's not the same effect because yellow is in green. Um, so it kind of lessens that pop a little bit because it's already present. Um, Obviously, once again, talking about pigments, not in actual light, because those are different things. We're talking about red, blue, and yellow primaries for pigments. But yeah, so blue and yellow make green. Yellow is already there. And also, there's like a bunch of yellow flowers. There's daisies, there's sunflowers, there's I don't know, there's a bunch of yellow flowers. I can't think of all of them right now. Anyways, buttercups and whatnot. Honeysuckles also. So yellow and green show up all the time, and it's not really a popping color because it doesn't mean danger and it's not unique enough to warrant that second look kind of thing. But yellow and blue, or yellow and purple, yes, complementary colors, and one off from the complementary color. The further away on the color wheel it is, the more it pops. The closer it is, the less it pops, but the more it like blends. You can also use, like you said, you use brass and brown. That yellow is going to go in with that brass color, and that's gonna leak into the brown color. Not leak as in like literally leak and blend, but visually it's gonna mute everything, and it'll just kind of become normal steampunk stuff where everyone just thinks steampunk, they think brown and some like brass color, and that's about it. Whereas yeah, they're very, very like colors. But if you throw in some blue or purple, not a lot, you don't want a lot, just like a nice small pop. So if you've got, we're gonna give an example of, see something that's easily seen. No, because those are. I wish I had a guy with a suit, then I could show it. No. So, oh, here we go. Little vampire guy. Let me adjust the focus. Subbed out brass for silver. Then you'll get a different feel to it. So if you swap out brass for silver, it's probably not going to look very steampunky. I mean, it still work. You'll just get a more generic fantasy. So brown like a leather, and then silver for the clasps and stuff. It's just a generic fantasy. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to like show you because I don't have enough time to paint this guy. But I'll point and let you see. So let's say we're using brass on his fittings. He's got a little bit of fittings for his vest, the clasp for his cloak, maybe a little bit on his boots, and then we're going to use brown for his actual cape, right? We give him black hair, pale skin. This guy is a vampire, so we have brown for his gloves, right? But we do want to give him a little bit of color. So what we'll do is we'll do a blue coat. So you can't really see that well, but so this is his cloak, and then he's got a coat right here. that comes up, and then he's got like a long, I forget what it's called, shirt thing, pants, boots, right? So the pants will be tan, boots will be brown. His undercoat will probably give that like a really dark, dark blue, and his coat will be more of a navy, perhaps even royal blue. Okay, that's gonna blend fine with the brown. It's gonna blend in just fine. And then for his little ascot thing, we'll make that yellow, and that will give it enough color that that yellow's not going to look that out of place, but will give it not so much color that he looks like a clown. Does that? I know it's harder to really visualize it because I'm not physically painting it to show you, but does that make sense? And don't forget that you can go different shades and blends within that color. So like I mentioned, navy blue and royal blue, there's cobalt blue, ultramarine blue. Once again, not the Warhammer faction. Playing around with Imp Cat. What is Imp Cat? I don't know that one. Did I finish this? No, I still got this one. Model painting app. Oh, ImpCat is a model painting app. Interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up and see how that works. Is it like an app you download on your phone, or is it like a program for your computer, or is it a website? Oh, excuse me. Apologize. It's a phone app. You have to get it off the website. Oh, okay. So it's not in the store, but you download it from the website onto your phone? Or do you use the website from your phone? Okay. So it's not in like Google Play or iOS store, Apple store, but it's on a website and you download it from the website itself. It's fantastic. We'll check that out. Maybe we'll check that out a little bit next week, right at the start of the stream. I'll share my. If you download it from the site, download it from the site, I might be able to do it on the computer and then I'd share my screen. If not, I'll download it from the site to my phone and then just camera that. But yeah, so we'll do that at the start of the stream and show that, and then we'll get into the canvas painting and show you how that works. Alright, so that's all the metal for this guy, with the exception of these guys right here. So we're gonna bloop, 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 bloop. Yes, the sound effects are necessary. I do have to do them. This is the way I have fun. Leave me alone. What's it doing? This guy. Is this got? It does not. Okay, that's fine. one barrel down. So yeah, we'll check that out next week. It sounds really neat. I'll check it out during the week, and then I'll see if I can get it on the computer, and then do it that way. And if not, we'll just put my phone under the camera and work it that way. Do you take pictures of the minis, or do they have like pre-built minis and you just kind of use that to figure it out? I hope my crude explanation of the color wheel and stuff like that, and basic color theory, helped and wasn't too confusing. It's like little pre-built minis, and you apply color to them from a list. Oh, okay. Cool. Sounds pretty neat. Oh. So can I show this on camera? I don't know if you care. But it seems like they have like the actual Warhammer minis. I was thinking like generic, just whatever minis. Yeah, okay, cool. We'll show it off a little bit. Let me put down this barrel. There we go. And I can... there we go. And then focus. There we go. Alright, so the green of the sword, generic minis, had to find that one. Alright, cool. So they got like things to choose from. That's pretty neat. Alright, so the green of the sword looks like it is not quite, and the yellow is not popping as much as it is on my phone screen, but it's still pretty close. So yeah, so he's got like the brown body. Let me get a little pointer. He's got like the brown body, and he's got like brass inner fittings and brass up here. He's got green, green, yellow, which is fine because that works perfectly. The yellow for the brown and brass. Are these white pieces going to stay white? Are they going to stay like this white color? And the green is like a sickly green. Now, see what I said before about yellow and green kind of blending? It's fine. They're not right next to each other. Like, they're not touching, right? But they're in the same color palette. You can see a little bit of the yellow-green here. And like more greenish green throughout. So it makes it look like a poisonous, something you don't want to touch kind of thing, and especially in video game terms. And then he's got that same green glow up here. It kind of makes it look like Brainiac a little bit, like he's kind of being controlled. This is just a breakdown of the visuals rather than the actual lore. Yeah, blue is a good breakup between the brass and the yellow. Blue. Oh, I see. So this blue, yeah, that blue metal, like that cobalt blue metal kind of looking. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so yeah, this is a really good breakdown of how those colors work together. I can't wait to see how it turns out. I would definitely if you're gonna get one of these, like in real life and painting it, I would definitely need to put some more contrast in like the joint spaces, especially, or the inner. It's really hard to do this upside down. That's why it's moving so much. But like the gears and the joints, just some more contrast, because it looks a little flat. But that's just the program itself, like the app itself, is not designed to go into super details. But yeah, this is looking really great. Can't wait to see how that works out, how that turns out. And let's see, I can do that. And for new time viewers, Skell and I know each other in real life. That's how, like, he was able to send me something so quickly. But yeah. But all that color wheel and color theory on complementary colors and everything, that makes sense to you? That I explained that well enough? And if not, let me know so I can try again. Yes, it helped a lot, actually. I'm glad. I've been thinking lately, like, maybe I want to be a teacher, but what would I want to teach? Like, with my scatterbrainedness, I don't know if I could teach, like, history, even though I do like history. And I might do, like, a temp fill-in for certain subjects, or topics in history, but don't know if I could do that all the time. I would definitely make an excellent history teacher with vests and bow ties. Just come in dressed up as different historical figures. But art teacher, I think I could do that, like, as a permanent job. I think I'd do pretty good on that one. Maybe it's like teaching high schoolers, maybe junior high schoolers. Just got to get an actual degree in order to actually be a teacher. See, no, that's not focused on my hand. There we go. So make the background a little bit out of focus and put the focus on the thing I'm working on. I'm hoping, since I'm sharing when I stream on my personal page on Facebook, some of my friends and family would show up and support. I don't know who all my viewers are, only the people who comment. So I got 2 viewers right now. I know one is Skell. I don't know who the other guy is. Or a girl. I'm hoping maybe one day my old art teacher, who is a friend on Facebook, will come in and I'll make him proud. And these are tiny. I think I need a different brush. This guy. Yeah, he doesn't bite. Not online. And you have to pay him in real life. Of course, if my old art teacher does show up on here, I'm probably going to embarrass myself and say something stupid. Be like, oh yeah, gold is like a red color, so that would complement blue really well. like something dumb like that when it's nowhere near the truth. Or he'll show up when I'm making a joke and not being serious, and he thinks I've forgotten everything he's taught me. Gold and blue do complement. Yeah, but the red part was incorrect. Like a rose gold has got like a red in it, but like gold, like yellow gold, regular gold, not so much. Of course, if he shows up while I'm making a dad joke, he'll love it. He loves all those dad jokes and puns and stuff, and we'd always try to outdo each other when we weren't arguing on whether or not abstract counts as art. And we argued on that a lot. So I've decided to name these as I had made a podcast, which I need to get started back on. I think I mentioned it on the last stream, the stream before that, podcast with Bastion being the main newscaster type person, and I didn't want to do like regular news, but I'm gonna maybe do like fantasy news in the world of that I've built. But I named that podcast that I had started The Final Bastion, and I'm going to name these The Final Bastion's art streams, and that's going to be the title. So, looking it up on YouTube, the first few are just going to be like art stream or Bastion's art stream. From now on, it will be Final Bastion's art streams. Or rather, the Final Bastion art stream, no possessive. So that'll be the brand. So it's about 9 o'clock. We got about an hour left. I am going to try to get some of the coloring on the bastions done today. Since we're already working with the brushed black, we're going to be putting that on his hammer. And then we'll go on to other colors. And that's still drying. That is dry, so we can probably do another coat on the penguin as well. Not DC supervillain the penguin. That is copyrighted. We can't use that. I do need to come up with a name for these guys. Any names for weird lantern guy and penguin with a top hat and suitcase? References or puns preferred? So if you come in and you're like, Brad, like, I mean, I guess, but I would prefer a reference to something or a pun. Like, I think Skell, I think you watched Evangelion. Did the weird penguin thing have a name in that? I don't know. I never really got into Ava, so. Too much Ava and an impressionably age. How much is too much? Like, how often did you watch it? Watched the whole show several times, every movie as it came out. Alright, well, did the penguin have a name? Or am I thinking of a different show? Was Evangelion had a penguin in it, right? I've only watched a little bit. I really didn't particularly care for it, but I want to say I remember a penguin in there. Pen Pen. Pen Pen the penguin. Now, was he like a regular penguin, or was he like a Misato's penguin? Was he just like a regular penguin, or was he like hyper intelligent, or was he like a clone or robot? We're gonna learn about Evangelion while I'm painting barrels. Normally I would look this stuff up myself. My hands are full. As far as I know, the show, that's just a regular penguin they put in there for some reason. Maybe the creator likes penguins? How's your, So maybe I'll call this guy Pin Pin. I don't know. We'll see. I know I'm not going to use, like, Happy Feet. That's just kind of boring. Or maybe I'll use some comic relief. Yeah, what? I mean, comic relief. The show is hilarious. It's all about this teenage boy who hates his life because his father's abusive. His world's at stake. Deadly, hyper-dimensional beings are attacking, and at one point, I think he gets absorbed into a giant robot and becomes part of it. I'm not really sure. There's a. You like the name Pen Pen? Like penguin? Yeah. They put a lot of thought into that one. Maybe I'll use one of what's its name? Benadryl Cumberbund. When he tried to do that documentary and couldn't say penguin. Maybe I'll use one of those. Or maybe I'll do like he did and just change it ever so slightly every time. It's penguins. 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 If you've not seen that interview on some British show, it was like with the orange and pink background. It's like a British interview show. I can't remember what it's called. They show the clip and just pick on him about it. Because apparently no one thought to just correct him about how to say penguin. Hope everyone had a good Father's Day last week. I said hello to your dads, if you're still talking to them. Had some, like, steak or ribs or cake, something. Excuse me. I talked to my dad for a long while about classes and union stuff. Yeah? Talking to him all week about the latest submarine drama. I don't know about any submarines, but I do follow the Ultramarines. Actually, I don't. I know more about submarines than I do the Ultramarines. But, yeah, that submarine. Oh boy. About half of my TikTok is filled with people making fun of the crew or the guests on that little trip, and about half of them are saying we shouldn't make fun of them because this is a tragic loss of human life. If it were an accident, I would say yes, but because of their hubris and stupidity, I'm gonna say no. We should definitely make fun of this. This is ridiculous. Like, if they went through every step to make that thing as safe as possible, and for some reason some catastrophic thing happened, and now they're lost and probably dead, I'd be like, yeah. If they went through every step to make it super safe and it still went wrong, okay. But a lot of that was just kind of asking for it. Like, it was ridiculous. First of all, why are you going to name why are you going to name your little submersible, because it can't be classified as a submarine, Titan, when going down to look at the Titanic? Don't name your thing after the ones who lost. Like, just don't. It's bad. And especially don't name it after the thing that you're going down to look at, also named Titanic, which is Titan-like. And it sank. The unsinkable ship sank. Like, just don't do that. It's dumb. And then you got your off-brand Logitech controller, which I'm not a super huge fan of Logitech, but this isn't their fault. They just happen. They're guilty by association. This is not their fault. I don't blame them at all. They did not say, hey, this is a good controller to use for your life-saving submarine controls. I mean, I'm using a Logitech webcam at the moment, so, like, I'm willing to use Logitech stuff. Probably not for piloting my submarine, but I'm willing to use some Logitech stuff. Or submersible, rather. And then you sealed it from the outside, which, yeah, you're not going to need to open it when you're at the depths of the ocean, but, like, let's say, for the sake of argument, they were able to get back up to the surface, and maybe their communications were knocked out. Now they're still in a freaking submersible, sealed, running out of oxygen, and no way to just get out. Like, why would you do that? That's so dumb. And you're right. They spat in Fate's face, and Fate took that personally, which I don't blame her. Or rather, I don't blame him. I always do Fate as a guy and Luck as a girl. Lady Luck and all that. Like, the Fates are girls, but, like, Fate as, like, a singular entity, I've always just done, like, him. Whereas whereas luck is a her. That's my own headcanon. There's not really any reason for that other than Lady Luck. And I kind of like how Fate and his close brother Death. Yeah. I also like in Discworld, in I want to say it's The Color of Magic. It's like the first book chronologically, which you don't have to read them chronologically, but I digress. It opens up with the gods playing a game of chance with mortals, and it's set up like a D&D campaign, rolling dice for the fates of their chosen heroes and whatnot. And one of the gods rolls and is like, "Yeah, you'll never beat that. I got the guy trapped." And then luck rolls, and the other god picks up the dice and counts all 6 sides and is trying to figure out how it came up 7, because it's luck. Which ends up leaving her and Fate as the last 2 people playing, and Fate tells her no more cheating, and she looks at him and says, "Who could cheat Fate?" If you've not read the Discworld series, it's really good. They've also made a couple of movies, some better than others. I like to watch The Hogfather every Christmas time. I want to say Prime, or maybe it was Hulu, did come out with a Guards show, quote unquote, based on the Guards novels, but everything I find out about that just pisses me off more, so I'm not watching that. But Going Postal is really good. Hogfather is really good. They do have The Color of Magic. And I don't know if they came out with a full video, but there is like an animation for like the opening bit for one of the Death novels. It's the one where Death finds his hourglass. Wanting to read the Sandman series, but I made a promise to read only one thing at a time. Well, yeah. So the Sandman is Neil Gaiman, whereas Discworld is Terry Pratchett. And the Sandman series you can get through a bit quicker than normal books, as it's a comic or a graphic novel. And half of the Sandman series lore is, or rather, half of the Sandman series draw is just because of the art is interesting. I like how each of the Endless, which is what Dream or the Sandman is part of, him and his 6 siblings are the 7 Endless. Sorry, I went off screen there for a little second. I apologize. They each have a different style to their speech and thought bubbles, which is interesting. Like Dream is like a black background with white letters. Death is like very matter of fact and practical with her speech bubble. Destiny is immutable, Times New Roman kind of thing. I forget what Destruction had. Depression just is kind of droopy and drippy and just depressing. Desire is very alluring with its letters. My favorites, though, are Dream with its black background and white letters, doing night and stars, because that's when you dream. And then, of course, Delirium, who used to be Delight, but then something happened and she broke and became Delirium. But her speech bubble background is rainbow colored, and her letters change size as she speaks, showing how she's not quite all there, and it's really just so interesting. And at one point, she does pull herself together for like a little bit of time. She says it hurts and she can't hold it, but her background becomes one color, more or less, and her letters become more uniform in size. And it's very interesting, very visually impressive. All right, so we got some updates on his mini. So we got version more blue. Update less busy. Okay, so I'm going to show you the third one he sent, and then I'll show you the second one he sent, and I'll explain why I'm doing it in that order. All right, so we're gonna have to refocus again. Put that in the center. There we go. Here we go. All right. So we've got a change. We got some more of that metallic, cobalt metallic blue going on for his hips, along with what's up top on his little, I'm gonna call it a collar. You don't have to share every time. Yeah, I kind of figured, but I wanted to show like the contrast and how that breaks it up to make it more visually distinctive. If you don't mind, I'm sorry. I should have asked again for the new ones. Is it okay? Okay, cool. Oh, phone turned off. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, this was the original, right? With the white, I'm going to call them ribs, upper color, and skull. And brown hips. Now we got the metallic cobalt blue hips, brown ribs, upper color, and skull. It looks like you also did a change with a darker brown on the, where is the sweet spot for this thing? There we go. Like a darker brown background for the brass symbol. You added green for this tube, which is nice. Yeah, so I do like that. And here's the second one you sent, which has a different color for the joints. Once again, you have that darker brown background on the brass for the symbol. You do have the green, looks like a tube. And of course you have everything right here. So I would say go for that cobalt blue metallic look for the hips on this guy. And I would also once you get it in person, and you're, so this is just to show you what it's like. You're not ordering these colors, right? Like, this isn't like on Hero Forge where you pick the colors and then they can send it to you in those colors. Like, you're just looking to see what you like best, and then you physically paint whatever pieces you're getting. And while I'm waiting for him to, these are the colors I have access to paint with. Okay, so but you would physically paint this, like you're not ordering it in these colors. All right, cool. So when you get the piece and you're going to paint it, I would go with this scheme, your second scheme, but with the hips from this guy. And also, what I would do is I would put some like bone white, not as the skull and ribs. I think that's too much. But more of like a highlight or damaged metal that you can see the bone underneath kind of thing. To show that I'm not full up on the lore, like they got their bodies replaced, but just as a visual representation that they are deadish, that they have these bones underneath, right? Uh, just as like a representation of it, rather than, oh hey, I'm showing the bones underneath the encased skeleton like Wolverine. I know that's not how it works, but just as like a visual representation, something to make it pop a little bit more. And then put some like oil stains on some of these pieces as well, some like dripping oil going on. But yeah, other than that, this one's my favorite. Does that make sense? What I was saying about the white? I don't know. I know it's a little weird because they're not actually skeletons. No problem, man. That's kind of what I'm here for. Is what I'm doing. So I can relearn the muscle memory and techniques while passing on my knowledge of the techniques. Oh, excuse me. I apologize. While passing on the knowledge of skills and techniques that I have. It's a fun idea. See if I have the skills to do that. So most of, if you have the skills to paint it as it is on there with the blue hips, but everything else the same as the second picture, you'll have the skills to do the white bone highlight and just dripping some paint, like black, was it Nuln oil or something like that, on there. You'll have the skills to drip that to make it look like drippy, because it just looks like an oil leak. So, I believe in you, man, and I can't wait to see how that turns out. All right, time for second coat for Penwing. Now the reason I'm not watering this down is because these specific paints, these uh, uh, the enchanted shimmers, are very thin in the first place, so that's the reason I'm not watering these down. So we're just doing a second coat. We might need a third one, but I think 2 coats might be fine. We'll see how it looks when it dries. I think 2 coats might work fine. And then when we put the thin colors on here, this shiny couple of coats will show through, and it'll change the look of it. Just like the black base paint does to mute it. That should make it look strange, off-putting, and ethereal, but we'll see how it turns out. I might have to do a thin overcoat just to give it a bit more shimmer. Or a top coat, I guess, but whatever. And we'll get his hat. There we go. You are dry. Time for coat number 2. Need to change out the water. Half an hour left of the stream. That'll be fine. So we got about half an hour left. What we're going to do is we're going to put the second coat on Lantern Guy, which I still need to find out a name for him. And yeah. Oh, I do want to say for my viewers and also just as a reassurance, like, if I give any kind of personal take on whatever it is that you've shown me, and I say, oh yeah, you should do this, you should do that, it's not like your boss saying, hey, you should do this and now you need to do it. It's a suggestion of, I think this would look good, but you might have a better idea, and if you have a better idea, you should do that rather than do what I said. It's just a suggestion because of what I think would look good, and what I think might not look good, or it might not look better than yours. Yours might look better than mine. It's all really subjective when it comes to that stuff. It's just a, hey, here's an idea, maybe you didn't think of that, but here's like a suggestion on what I would do. What do you think? Kind of thing. It is, in the end, it is your art piece, and how you want to do it is the way you should do it. Like, I know Skell knows that because we've had these discussions before, but just so my other viewers, just so they know. Like, I'm not trying to overwrite your art projects. Alright, once I get the second coat on, I'll give you guys a close-up visual of what this guy and the penguin look like. What penguin? Alright. Let me adjust the focus. It's pretty close as it is. Alright, so it's a little bit harder to see his features at the moment. They are still there, it's just my camera's not like the best. And once I get the colors on there, those features will come out once again. But now he's got that dream shimmer going on. As like the underlying sense of his personal being. It is very glittery, and I mean, it's dream sand. I might need a third coat for Penwind, because he's not super glittery at the moment. He's not popping the same. So I might need a third coat for him, and I'll do that third coat after the stream. Because he won't be dry while the stream's ongoing. Alright, let's get some of those metal colors in on these guys. So, the backstory on this guy is something that will be explored in other stories, but it's okay for you to know this much of his backstory, is that he used to, this is Bastion, and he used to have a dog who he called Andy. Andy was a good dog. He was a good pupper. But dogs, being what they are, not quite living as long as humans, and also in the dangerous situations that they found themselves in, one day, Bastion no longer had his friend and companion, Andy. But he knew how to build. So he went from having a size-changing magical dog. Oh, sorry, I apologize on that. Thanks for letting me know about the focus. So, he went from having a size-changing magical dog to replacing some of the parts to keep him going, because maybe he lost a paw in a battle. Friend and companion for relaxing times, to no longer having that friend and companion for relaxing times. But he is very good at building things, and he made Robo Andy, who he just calls Andy. really wish the autofocus would work properly. Can never get that thing to work properly. Give us some of that silver. I want it bright and shiny like silver, but I don't want it just solid silver, because it is beat up, it is messed up, it's not quite new. So what I'm doing is I'm making it so the silver is not solid, which shows that black through it, making it look old. Yep. Now, Bastion is not a rich person, so this isn't actually silver, more like stainless steel. But it's got that silvery color, so it works out just fine. And now you can see see that brushed black on his end of his hammer right there, and that silver color for his mug, which is worn through. I really wish this was easier to focus. There we go. You can see that the silver is worn through and that black is showing through, which makes that silver look old and tarnished, which is one of the main reasons I use black as a base instead of just painting on top of the gray. Now I do have a paint called Chocolate Brown, which I will use inside the mug because Bastion does not like coffee. Bastion likes hot chocolate instead. Come on, focus. Stupid slider. There we go. Alright. Okay. We're going to use that burnt umber for this chair. Mix up that paint. I didn't even notice the shield had a freaking design in it. Huh. Alright. That's interesting. I didn't even notice that. Alright, so for actually, I can use some of that brushed metal or brushed black on these guys. as well. So we're going to paint this. So for this, to get this, because of the design that has that shiny blue going on, you can see a little bit of that shine. Because I don't want the brown to get in those cracks and cover that up, I want that to show through as if it was inlaid with some sort of shiny stone. We're going to be dry brushing, which is, I'm going to dip my brush. I got a thick bristle brush, as opposed to a softer, more flexible, right? This is a thick, stiff bristle, rather, not thick bristle, stiff bristle, to help keep it from filling in those gaps, because we don't want to fill in those gaps. So what we're going to do is, we're going to get it in that paint, and we're going to brush that off, and then we can fill it in. And if I do it this way, it's not going to fill in those cracks because there's not enough paint and the bristles don't flex enough. I'm going to have to do a couple of layers, but it protects that inlay. So let's see if we can see a little bit of that. There we go. So you can see there how it has that design where it looks like it's been inlaid with some kind of shiny, sparkling stone. But it's got that wooden over top of it. Now I'm going to have to do several layers because of how thin it is, but it will show even more because burnt umber is a darker brown. It'll show that inlay, as long as I'm careful not to fill in those gaps. Now when it's not over top of that, I can put it on a little bit thicker. I don't want it too thick because I do want to show off, like, this wood has grain in it and it's got pieces where it's been cut by axes or swords or knives. So I don't want to make it too thick, but I can work it a little bit thicker when it's not on top of that inlay because I don't have to worry about filling in those gaps. I want to fill in those gaps. I just don't want to overfill so it's flat. Sorry, I forgot to put my phone on vibrate. I'm getting messages from people. Gotta be careful when going along this edge here because I want to get in on that edge to fill in the gray to make it brown for the wood, but I don't want to get into that inlay, so just gotta be careful. group text is just blowing up. Hang on. What is going on? I don't know what that is. Nobody ever wants to send messages to that group text until I'm doing something else. Ow, 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 ow. Cramp, ow. With how thin I'm putting it on here, it almost looks watercolor rather than acrylic. Which is fine. I think I can work with that for this specific piece. I do want to make it a little bit darker brown though. I don't want to leave it like this very uber light brown. So now I've got the chair covered. Now we can go back and darken it up a little bit. So we're gonna go over the inlay a little bit more. Darken that up. Make it look like older wood. I think that'll be about it for today. It's about 4 till 10, and I know I started late, and I do apologize. I'll try to have everything set up properly before the stream next time. And next time, next week, what we're going to do is we're going to be doing some canvas painting. Let me give you an up-close look at this. I think I might need to, I don't know, maybe I don't. Let me see if it gets any clearer. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so the wood is not as dark as it will be. I will be getting that wood a bit darker. And I'll put some other colors in there, or rather, not other colors, but other shades of brown in there. But you can see how in that shape, there's that. It shows up a lot more in person than it does on this camera, and I'm hoping once I get that brown darker. Also, the colors aren't correct, or at least on the screen that I'm looking at to see how well it's focused. It's like a light green brown rather than the brown. So I don't know what it shows up like on your screens, and that's the problem with doing this, is you never know how the color correction is going to work on everybody's screen. So maybe what you're seeing isn't burnt umber, but I promise you it's burnt umber in person. But you can see the difference between like where my thumb was at and how it took off some of that wet paint versus that light color for the inlay of the back of this chair. So we'll I'll go over it again just to make sure it's all good and covered and darker brown, and I'll show that off next week. So it should be good to go by next week. But that'll just be the beginning of the stream. The rest of the stream will be canvas painting. So I will be working with oil paints and a canvas for the first time in many moons. I haven't done that in a while. So we will. There we go. Let me adjust the focus. There we go. Alright. I hope you've all enjoyed watching me paint minis again on stream. I know we didn't get like a lot done, but that's just how minis work. Like sometimes you can get a whole bunch of them, especially if they're like the same done, and sometimes because of the intricate work and trying not to get the metals onto the woods, it takes a while. So I know it seems like I got more done for the Gundam because it's, but we made pretty good progress today. And like I said, unless it's going to be a very special base coat, such as the shiny, I'm not going to be showing that on stream anymore. I'll have that done prior so we can get started on the actual painting the individual pieces of the item. So yeah, I hope you all have a good week, and I'll try to start on time next time. But hey, this is like through like 4 weeks in a row that I've done this. I've been able to keep up with it this time, so that's nice. See you guys around. This is Horatio Bastion Wells III, signing off.